Hey guys, I hope you're doing well. I just got a comment by Lopsa192 and I'm just gonna read it to you so I can answer properly. I wonder what defines an ED these days. Should everybody eat unrestricted? These are just thoughts I have. I had an ED when I was a lot younger. I recovered, I guess, but physically and never really completed the mental part. I would never go back to restriction, but I wonder where the line is drawn between being a little worried about diet and health and having a full-blown ED. Being pre-diabetic now, I still worry, but I refuse to ever restrict ever again. I don't really believe in overshoot anymore. I think if someone isn't in food deficit for long enough, then the extra weight isn't overshoot. It's just nature. If normal is unhealthy, then is there really nothing to be done? I guess not. So I do understand where like those thoughts are coming from, and I've also been thinking about this a lot because in my surroundings a lot of people are really worried about those health and like body things, but they're still not in an ED. Like for example, my mom and her sister or some of my friends, they are pretty much like concerned with food and they think about it, and I always try like new diets. But for me, like a this is more a disordered eating and not an eating disorder. But it is already concerning. I feel like, in my opinion, everybody should not like people should not think about what they eat, and they should come to them very naturally what they eat, and they shouldn't be concerned about having 2 or 3 kilos more than, you know what I mean. Like, it shouldn't be such a topic, and the media really makes such a huge deal about body and weight, even though it really everyone has a different type of body, and it shouldn't be really such a big thing. But for me, what I would say is an ED, it's very hard to define. I mean, there's for example, as far as I know, like anorexia is defined through body mass index, which I find kind of stupid. I would rather say that probably if you have physical symptoms such as for example losing your period or constantly being anxious, even though maybe that's not physical, um, or being very low energy due to, not eating enough, blah, blah, blah. Things like that, plus the mental part, which is being very anxious, constantly worrying about food, really more the extreme type of ED, not ED, but the extreme type of worrying about food, not just sometimes think, oh, maybe I should lose some weight, maybe I should eat a little less chocolate. No, for me, that's not an ED, that's more maybe disordered eating or just being impacted by diet culture. But having an ED is really food and exercise and calories and weight concerning most of your thoughts, so that you're constantly obsessing and worrying about those thoughts. And it might not seem like it now, but I really used to be like that. I luckily got completely over it, which is very rare. I feel like a lot of people that once had an ED have a hard time letting go of it. But for me, back in the day, I woke up and the first thing I basically thought was food, and the last thing I thought of when I went to bed was food and being skinny enough, having eaten like little and exercise, you know what I mean? Like, it was just constant in my head. I couldn't really enjoy the moment. And for me, that is an ED, even though I was not very, very much underweight. I was just a little underweight. But still, I think the combination of both having those physical symptoms of having very low energy, maybe losing your period if you would have a period normally, and things like that, combined with this extreme mental stress, that's for me an ED. It doesn't have to mean that you're underweight, because there are people that are normal weight but still suffer from an ED because they just still have very low energy and are still constantly stressing and worrying about food and exercise. So I think, yeah, and here I'm talking about restrictive EDs. There's obviously the complete other extreme where you have a binge eating disorder. Yeah, but in the end, I feel like it kind of comes back to the same, because binge eating disorders usually come from restricting. So yeah. And then what else do you wonder? Sorry, I have to quickly read the question again. Yeah, should everybody eat unrestricted? In my opinion, yes, except maybe you're diabetic. Obviously, then you shouldn't because you could die of it. But I think people usually assume that eating unrestricted means only wanting to eat, I don't know, you know what I mean, like only wanting to eat chocolate and cheese all day long. But this is usually only in recovery until you get to a normal degree of hunger and just a normal state, because I eat very much unrestricted and I have really large cravings for a whole range of balanced foods. Obviously, I eat quite a lot of sweets each day, but it is still, I would say, maybe in a normal amount. And I also have a huge craving each day for veggies and I don't know, like other normal stuff. So yes, because also when I observe people that grew up being able to eat very unrestricted and people that just don't really care about food, they usually really like eating very balanced. So what I see from families that raise the kids in a very independent way, the kids usually like to eat everything and quite balanced and healthy, for them eating very unrestricted. But if you have someone who was in a restrictive ED for a long time, or even someone who was just kind of restricting generally, maybe not having an ED, so just someone who, I don't know, tried following diet culture but wasn't completely concerned with food. At the beginning, of course, they will, I forgot the word, but they will really concentrate a lot on foods that are not very balanced. But I feel like after some time, you just get bored of it and you want to eat very balanced and want to eat whatever your body craves and needs. So I do have a really strong belief in that eating unrestricted is a solution to a lot of problems. But of course, at the beginning, it's very hard to reach kind of a level, or to eat in a way that is seen as normal, because actually I feel like it's impossible, but you just have to give yourself time and see over the time that your hunger balances out and you will just eat normally. um I don't really know what else you asked. Let me check one more time. Okay, then the topic about overshoot. I think a lot of people feel like when I talk about overshoot, it means that everybody's super skinny naturally, um, and they will gain weight but then lose weight until they're super skinny again when eating normal and unrestricted. No, like I know that everyone has very different types of bodies. I mean, for example, my parents, they are very different from genetics. So my dad is super tall, super skinny. My mom's also tall, but she's very curvy because just her like her parents also have more a curvy type of body. Even the countries she's from, she's Hungarian Spanish, so both of those countries have rather like some flesh on their bodies. Whereas my dad, he comes from a very, very skinny family, and all of his brothers and all of my cousins are very skinny. So I do see that genetics play a huge role, and I am pretty much a mixture, I would say, between both of them, maybe leaning more towards my mom's side. So for me, it is clear that not everyone has the same body type. So when I talk about overshoot, I mean that when you are recovering, you gain more weight than your normal set weight. And it doesn't have to happen always, but I feel like in a lot of cases it happens if you really let go, because it just makes sense if you think about it in a biological sense, that your body needs kind of this extra protection for some time. And then it goes back to what is actually normal for your body and most healthy, because carrying extra weight with you, like more weight than what is naturally supposed to be, that is actually quite hard and takes a lot of energy from your body. So your body doesn't want to carry extra weight, because it's just, as I said, takes more energy to move, it makes you less flexible, blah blah blah. So it does want to go back to normal for your body, which could be from really the whole range. So yeah, but it still needs like this assurance that you're in a normal surroundings, normal environment again, before it can go back to your destined weight. And your destined weight can change. I think if you had like a really restrictive past, it can happen that this set weight goes up. I think actually it makes a lot of sense that this happens. But yeah, I would just say that think about it in a very biological sense, and don't let yourself be too influenced by diet culture, because I used to be very much, and I really started to believe in this other theory by Tabitha, and it was 100% true for me, but I had to put a lot of patience and a lot of, I don't know, belief in it being the truth. But now I really do feel like bodies know what you need, and only if you try to restrict or try to manipulate it, it will end up in a bad way. So just try following your hunger cues, and also try to eat frequently. I think it's very helpful that you constantly assure your body that you're fine, you're actually having constant access to food. I think those are the two ways: really having trust, being relaxed, and eating frequently and good food is the way to go. And I would just try it out for quite a long time, so not just 2 weeks and then say, oh, I'm just gaining weight. Yeah, because probably that's what you need to. So just try it out over 2 years and you will see you're getting a lot more relaxed and happy towards food. And I don't know, it worked for me, and I see that it worked for quite a lot of people that now seem very chill and relaxed and happy. So whereas people that still try to, I don't know, be a little restrictive or follow ED recovery diet plans, blah blah blah, they struggle. They seem quite stressed and anxious in their videos. So I would suggest that you really follow what Tabitha Farrar says for a few years and then judge, because I really see a lot of truth in what she says, and it also makes sense from a scientific way, even though it hasn't really been proven, which I think is a result from our society really trying to push this diet culture narrative and people being influenced by it from a very young age on. But yeah, those are really just my thoughts and what I've been observing over the past years. Really, those people that try to follow diets, blah blah blah, but then it always ends up, I don't know, not working. Whereas those people that just eat unrestricted and they sometimes drink a soft drink, sometimes do this that, but they don't constantly crave it. I feel like, yeah, there's just a really big difference, and people that eat unrestricted usually, yeah, are happier and healthier in their body, you know? But yeah, everyone has their own opinion, and you can obviously think what you want. It's just what I experience and what I feel like, and I really hope for you that, yeah, you find balance in yourself and kind of find a way away from having thoughts about food and worrying about food, even though you say you kind of got over your ED. I'm still not quite sure. Yeah. It's just that I always feel like people that are still watching a lot of recovery content are still concerned with it. I actually don't watch any of it anymore. I just like to film the videos because I feel like I can give you some tips and experiences from someone who actually successfully recovered. So yeah, I don't know. You can believe whatever you want. It's just something that worked for me, and obviously everyone's different. So maybe my body is just like Tabitha's that really worked with her approach, and there's others that wouldn't work with that approach. I don't know. But yeah, I hope this baffling kind of helped you. I was just really talking a lot, but yeah, I never use any script, so it's just what comes out of my heart and out of my messy brain.